call it to order on this date, the 15th of March, meeting of the City of Littleton Board of Adjustments. Would you please, Recording Secretary, would you please call the roll?
Board Member Jenna?
Present.
Board Member Johnson?
Present.
Board Member McClintock?
Present.
And Board Member Primo?
Present.
We have a quorum.
Okay. The previous Board of Adjustments meeting minutes have been distributed. If the board members have any comments or corrections, will they please voice them now?
Mr. Chair, we need to approve the agenda first.
Okay. So we need to review the minutes?
Just ask the other board members if there's any changes to the agenda.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
okay.
No.
No.
No. No.
Okay.
Now we're at the minutes.
Do I have a motion to accept the minutes as they are?
I move to approve, based on the Recording Secretary's certification, the February 22nd, 2018 action minutes for the February 22nd, 2018 regular meeting of the Littleton Board of Adjustment.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. I need to vote?
You have to flip the switch on top.
Oh, yeah, I got to do that one there.
A couple people didn't vote.
Get it there.
The motion carries unanimously.
Okay. Turn yours off. Turn yours off, Johnson. It's still on. There we go. Okay, boom, right there. Okay. I'd like to, let's see. This meeting, is any public comments from anyone in the audience that may wish to make a subject regarding the general, the agenda for the meeting? Each speaker will have 3 minutes and a time limit and should state his name and address for the record. Does anyone else wish to make any comments for this meeting? Okay. Then, let's see. Okay, then we can start the hearing of the application for the two variances. Okay. We'll start with the variance 170009.
Oh my God, I broke the thing. Thing came off.
Can the staff present the report on the application?
Good evening, Carol Kuhn representing Community Development. The item before you is a Board of Adjustment Variance VAR 17-0009. I would like to have offer one piece of clarification from last February 22nd. The portion of the public hearing notice was not properly done, so therefore this item had to be moved to tonight's meeting. So the item has been noticed for an extended period of time. The sign has been posted since well before the February 22nd hearing, and all the notice was done properly for this meeting. So a little bit of background information about this variance request. This is a request to the rear setback in the PDR zone district for a piece of property located at 9681 West Belfast Drive. The Trailmark development, also known as Chatfield Green, was annexed into the city on March 12, 1991. The general PD plan was recorded on September 17, 1991, and at that time it established setbacks for the development. And the home at the subject property was constructed in 2003. The applicant purchased the property in December of 2013 and has wanted to build a deck on the side yard. The applicant is requesting a 4-foot reduction to the 20-foot rear setback for a walkway to access the deck. However, this 4-foot setback would fall under the 20% for an administrative variance. However, this item is not eligible for an administrative variance process because the subject property is located within a planned development and needed to go through a public process. This is an aerial photo of the site at 9681 West Belfast. You can see that the property is the one highlighted in blue. It is a pie-shaped piece of property with the home constructed on it. There are 5 criteria in order to grant a variance. The first criteria is that the variance will not authorize the operation of a use other than those uses specifically listed as primary permitted uses for the zone district in which the affected property is located. In this case, decks, the applicant is requesting to construct a deck, and a deck is permitted as an accessory use in a residential zone district. Therefore, this criteria appears to be met. The second criteria to grant a variance is that the variance will not alter the essential character of the neighborhood or zone in which the property is located, or substantially or permanently impair the allowed use or development of adjacent property. Many homes in the neighborhood have constructed decks. This request would not change the essential character. Therefore, this criterion appears to be met. The third criteria is that the variance is the minimum that would afford relief and is the least possible modification to the provision in question. The applicant has researched several options, and this appears to be the minimum to afford relief. The applicant has approached the homeowners association also to have them reduce the setbacks and apply to the entire development. The HOA did not entertain that request, so therefore the applicant is left with this avenue. And this is the smallest amount that the applicant can ask for in order to make his deck work. Criterion number 4 to grant a variance is that the variance will not adversely affect the public health, safety, and welfare. The zoning, building, and fire codes will all be adhered to, and therefore this criteria appears to be met. This will have to get a building permit for the deck, and the applicant will have to go through that process, which will evaluate all of the health, safety, and welfare issues with the building code. Number 5, that the hardship, if any, under which the variance is sought was not created by the owner, occupant, or agent of the owner of the property in question, nor was it suffered as a result of a violation of any provision of this code. This is a uniquely shaped lot. There's an elevation change on the lot. There's unique circumstances related to this in that it's a larger house. It's a ranch-style home that is on a smaller lot. This is a shallow lot. And the HOA, as I previously mentioned, was reluctant to amend the PD and did not entertain the applicant's request. Therefore, this criteria appears to be met. In addition, there's one other additional consideration section in the variance that applies to individuals and qualified individuals with a disability, and there's an avenue for them to seek relief. And staff contends that the strict interpretation of the zoning regulations would prevent the city from reasonably accommodating the disability, and the disability is outlined in your staff report. So therefore, staff does recommend approval to construct a walkway to the deck with a 4-foot variance to the 20-foot rear setback, which would be a 20% reduction. This would result in a 16-foot rear setback, and therefore, staff contends that this meets the 5 criteria to approve a variance. Staff is here for any initial questions, and the applicant is also here this evening.
Okay. Do the board members have any questions for the staff report?
Yes, I have one. In regard to this, I saw nothing here in regard to the PD. Once this is filed, does this supersede PD?
No, the zoning will still stay in place, and because the PD applies to a much broader area, it would be very similar as if you had regular zoning that you normally see, like an R5 or an R3, and you grant a variance. It's just for this one specific property. It doesn't apply to the PD as a whole. So they're not requesting in any way to amend the PD because that would go to Planning Commission and City Council. You're looking at an isolated case for just this one property granting the variance.
So, say it's granted, does that, can it be stopped by that PD at all?
No, you're granting relief to that performance standard that's in the PD
Okay, I got
through
you.
this mechanism,
I got it. Okay, thank you.
but only for this one lot.
Yeah.
On the criterion number 3 about the major variance, can we talk about that a little bit? The major variance from the city?
Yes, so typically this would have been done as a minor variance at an administrative staff level. However, planned unit developments go through a public process. So the city attorney's office has determined that in order to get this through a public forum, rather than doing it at an administrative staff level, we had to get it before the Board of Adjustment, even though it would typically be done if it was a conventional zone district as an administrative variance.
So this would give the neighbors an opportunity, or anybody that objected?
Yes. Yes,
Anybody?
rather than doing administratively without it being properly noticed or anything, because there would be a public process to amend the PD, so we had to get a public process to make this variance rather than an administrative staff level.
Thank you.
Any other questions by the board?
Thank you.
Okay. Do we have the applicant that would like to present information to the board?
I don't really have much to say. I think you covered about everything.
Okay, if you would you identify yourself, your name, and your address?
My name is Craig Holsopple, 9681 West Belfast Drive. That's the subject property.
Okay. Is your microphone working? Okay.
Got me. Is it on?
You're just tall above the
Yeah, it's a
microphone.
little bit low.
Hey, just bring it up.
Okay. The reason I'm asking for this is it really goes back to a surgery my wife had in 2012 with her hip. It was a surgery, it wasn't a replacement. She's constantly managing the pain and chiropractors and whatnot. And a year later is when we bought this house. It's a ranch. We bought it with the intention of living on one floor. And I approached the city about building a deck. It was originally going to be along the entire back of the house, but they said that just wouldn't true into the variance too much, or into the setback too much. So I kept going back and forth. We got some other options, and eventually came to building one on the side of the house. So all I'm asking for is to go into the setback, 20%, is 4 feet, so I can have direct access from the back door of my house to the deck to the side of the house. That's really all we're looking for.
Okay. Do any of the board members have any questions for the applicant?
Now, are there stairs to get up and down from this deck?
Yeah, there's stairs going to the backyard from the door to our kitchen. They probably have to go down maybe 2.5 feet. If I can get allowed to get this variance, I can build straight off the back of the house over to the side for the deck and just live on one level like we're hoping to.
I noted the change in elevations and so forth, but I wasn't quite sure about how the steps would work to access the deck from the yard.
Well, if I wasn't allowed the variance, I'd have a maybe 4-foot clearance at the corner of the house going to the side. I just want to put I guess the deck, a walkway, whatever you want to call it, so we can go straight from the house there. Right now, I don't know, I can get a table up into the deck, the table you saw in the back of one of those pictures. It's just for access, really.
Are there any other questions for the applicant? Okay, then we'll close any additional public testimonies, and the board will decide.
You need to open up the public hearing and then close it.
Okay.
Yeah, so open it up, see if anyone's signed up
Okay.
to speak on the matter, and then if seeing none, if you have none, then you can close it, and then bring it back to the board for a motion.
I thought we had already been there. Okay. Need to, public comments?
That's for this one. There's nobody signed up. And this is for the next one.
Okay. So without anybody looking at presenting anything to the board publicly, then let's move on to discussing this case amongst the board.
Need to make a motion to open this for discussion amongst the board?
No,
Okay.
just need if the public hearing's closed, you need to make a motion and then discuss. Motion and a second, and then discuss.
So do I have a motion to discuss this case?
Go ahead.
So you guys they closed the public hearing, so then you need to bring a motion, you request a motion on the item, and once a motion and second has been made, then the board can discuss, and then you can vote.
Okay. So do I?
I move to approve BOA Resolution 01-2018, a request for variance concerning rear setback of 9681 West Belfast. Approval of this application is based on the finding that the variance meets all of the criteria in Section 10-11-1. B of the Littleton City Code, and that a strict interpretation of the zoning regulations would prevent the city from reasonably accommodating the disability.
Second.
I'm sorry, who seconded?
I did.
Thank you.
Yeah, we can.
So then if you have any discussion, the board should discuss their thoughts and what you guys think about it, and then go for a vote.
Yep. Board have any discussion?
Clear to me.
I think this is a pretty easy one. And I think seeing nobody else is coming forward to speak against this, I think that speaks volumes in itself. As noted earlier, it's been properly noticed for an extended period of time.
Yeah. Then we should proceed to vote. All right.
I'm coming. The vote is 4 in favor. The motion carries unanimously.
Second one.
I'm sorry,
Okay.
can we have a 2-minute recess so that she can talk to the applicant? I'm sorry.
Okay, recess is granted.
fine.
Okay. We'll proceed to the second application, VAR 18-0001.
Good evening, Carol Kuhn, representing Community Development. The item before you is Board of Adjustment Variance 18-0001. It's a variance to the minimum lot size and width in the RS zone district. Again, as the clarification piece, the one portion of the February 22nd meeting hearing notice was incorrect. Therefore, this item needed to be moved to a later hearing date, which is why it's here this evening. Proper notice has been provided. The applicant has had the sign up for the entire time, and all the noticing pieces have been completed. The applicant is requesting a variance to the minimum lot width and the minimum lot size at a property located at 6733 South Windermere. The applicant has a deed dating back to August 29th, 1958, which shows that the property in this current configuration was established at least as far back as 1958. In 1960, the city established zoning regulations, and some of the properties were too small or too narrow to fit these zoning requirements that were laid on top of these existing lots that were in the city prior to the zoning regulations being implemented into the city. In 1972, subdivision regulations were established in the state, and the applicant purchased the property in 2017. The applicant wishes to demolish the current house and build a new home. However, the zoning requires that a minimum lot size of 5 acres and a minimum lot width of 300 feet is the standard for this zone district, which is RS, which is residential, suburban, agricultural. However, the lot is only 2.939 acres and 264 feet wide. So, as I mentioned, the zoning doesn't match the property configuration that was established way prior to even subdivision regulations and the zoning in the city. So in order to construct a single-family home, the applicant must first obtain a variance, as this is the only remedy to get the zoning to match the existing property configuration. Once a variance is granted, the applicant can move forward with a plat and then a building permit. This is the site location. It's an aerial photograph of the property, which is at, as I mentioned, 6733 South Windermere. And there are 5 criteria for variances. The first one is that the variance will not authorize the operation of a use other than those uses specifically listed as primary permitted uses for the zone district in which the affected property is located. A single-family home is a permitted use in the RS zone district. The applicant is requesting a variance for the lot width and area, and not any changes to any of the uses. Criterion number 2, the variance will not alter the essential character of the neighborhood or zone in which the property is located, or substantially or permanently impair the allowed use or the development of adjacent property. The applicant is proposing a single-family home, which would not change the essential character of the development. The new home doesn't impair the allowed uses of the adjacent properties. Therefore, this criterion appears to be met. The variance criterion number 3, that the variance is the minimum that will afford relief and is the least possible modification to the provision in question. The applicant is requesting a 36-foot reduction in lot width and a 2.061 acre minimum lot size. This is the minimum to afford relief, as this is the applicant's only avenue since the zoning was in place after the lot configuration was established. Therefore, this criterion appears to be met. Criterion number 4, that the variance will not adversely affect the public health, safety, and welfare. All zoning, building, and fire codes will be adhered to and be evaluated through the building process. The applicant is also, it is also necessary for the applicant to process a plat to create a legal lot of record. This criterion does appear to be met. Criterion number 5, to grant a variance, that a hardship, if any, under which the variance is sought was not created by the owner, occupant, or agent of the owner of the property in question, nor was it suffered as a result of a violation of any provision of this code. As I mentioned, the parcel was assigned the RS zoning in 1960. In 1972, zoning, the subdivision regulations were established in the state of Colorado through state statute and in the city's regulations. And therefore, any building permit required that a lot be platted and have a legal lot of record. The applicant is not, this criterion is not established by the applicant. The hardship is not established by the applicant. Therefore, this criterion appears to be met. The variance of minimum lot size from 5 acres to 2.939 acres and a variance of the minimum lot width from 300 to 264 feet meets the 5 criterion to approve the variance request. Staff recommends approval of this application. And the applicant is here to make a presentation. Staff is available for any initial questions.
Okay. Do any board members have any questions for staff report?
So, do you know if there are other lots of similar size in the area?
There are other lots of similar size with that same zoning on them. I believe some other property owners in the neighborhood just did additions to their homes rather than a full, demo and brand new building. Therefore, these criteria did not kick in for an addition.
Depending on the outcome of tonight's hearing, would this zoning change at all? Or the zoning would still remain RS?
The zoning would remain RS. So any rezoning application would not come to the Board of Adjustment, would go to Planning Commission and City Council.
Good, thank you.
And in order to do a rezoning, you either need to be immediately adjacent to a property, a similar zone district, or have a minimum of 180,000 square feet in order to rezone property. The applicant wishes to retain this agricultural, residential, suburban agricultural zone district, does not wish for a higher, more dense zone district, and wants to keep it at this, just is trying to remedy this old issue with the lot being prior to the zoning.
Thank you.
The questions from the board?
Thank you.
The applicant is here to make a brief presentation.
The applicant would like to make a presentation. State your
Evening,
name,
gentlemen. My name is
name and
Scott.
address.
I'm sorry. My name is Scott Hazelwood. My address is 15574 East Prentice Lane, Centennial 80015. As the information said, I bought the lot about a year ago. The facts are already in the information, so I won't go through those again, but I've always loved this area. I used to live in Highlands Ranch in the 90s and have a real good friend that I would come to the house and come up Jackass Hill Road, up onto Prince and the mountain view, and just you feel like you're out in the country, though you're in a city. And this lot just happened to come up and fell in love with it instantly, and the views are awesome, agricultural purposes, the open space. So I just wanted to take down the old house, it's over 50 years old, and build a new house is the main purpose. So that's about it.
Okay. Does board members have any questions for the applicant?
I got one. With the new house, you're going to have an attached garage or not?
Yes.
When you purchased the property, were you aware of any of the zoning restrictions that ultimately brought you here now?
Well, I knew it was zoned RS, and that was one of the main reasons I bought it. But I didn't have any idea that the stuff that we'd have to go through to get to a building permit phase. Because the house had been there so long and the property had been in that shape for so long, I didn't even dawn on me that there would be anything.
Thank you.
Any other questions for the applicant? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Going to open up for public comment for this application. The ground rules for this is 3 minutes of any presentation. 30 seconds before the end of your presentation, you'll get a yellow card, and then you'll get a red card when your time is up. So it looks like we have 2 people have signed up to make public comment. Start off with first one on the list, which is Scott Hazelwood. Okay. All right, and the applicant then. And Tom Browning. Would you? Okay, would you come up here, please? State your name and address.
Tom Browning, 1394 West Davies Place. I've been in Littleton 40 years here now, and I helped Scott find this lot. He's been searching for a long time, and I guess I put him in this unfortunate position, but I think it'll work out fine. Plans on building a gorgeous ranch home. I am helping him as a construction manager to get through this process to some degree, and just didn't know if there would be some problems on, trying to rezone it to some other level or whatever. And, I just wanted to defend that RS zoning that he bought and paid for. And that was my only comment that I wanted to make. Okay? Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Is there anybody else who would like to make a public comment? Okay. Want to make a motion?
Chair Jenna, if you could close the public
Okay, we're
meeting.
going to close the public hearing at this point. No additional testimony will be admitted. Okay, would you like to make a motion?
Call for a motion, yeah.
Anybody want to make a motion on this?
Motion to close?
A motion about the case, the resolution.
Really?
And then a second, if you get one, and then you guys discuss, and then you could call for a vote.
Right.
I move to approve BOA Resolution 02-2018, a request for variance concerning lot size and lot width at 6733 South Windermere Street.
Yeah. Do we have a second?
Second?
Okay. Need to have any discussion? No discussion?
I think just the fact that it's grandfathered in, that it predates the zoning regulations, I think that makes it a pretty easy decision for me.
I would agree, hearing that kind of the lot sizes got applied after there were lots of that size already in the area. So.
I do agree with that.
Seems like a square peg in a round hole.
Okay. Are we ready to vote?
Do you want to? That's it.
The vote is 4 in favor. The motion carries unanimously.
Okay, now we've heard both of these presentations. I think we can adjourn this meeting at this point.
Are there any comments or reports from the board or staff before you close the meeting?
Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay, community development. Okay, are there any questions?
I don't believe staff has any reports.
Nothing to report from staff. Is anything from the board? Do you have any comments?
Okay, in that case, then we've taken care of business.
You just have to say that the meeting is adjourned.
Meeting is adjourned.